Welcome, everybody. This is Run Pure Sports, the Golf Wars show. I am Statsational, filling in for JBC, along with Mr. Snyder and Bryce, Third and Schlong. Boys, how are we doing tonight?
Doing pretty well. Right in the middle of the big football swings coming on, and we've got a really good, more lucrative event than we're usually seeing here at the PROCORE. The guys are getting ready for the Ryder Cup, which is in a couple weeks here. Looks like a really good field. There's kind of some price strains on a couple of the guys that we'll talk about, but looks like a fun event.
Bryce, how you doing over there?
I'm great over here in Indianapolis. Just kind of laid back here. A friend of the program, Alex Lord, is getting married this weekend, so I did
hear those rumors
to attend to.
Very nice.
Yeah, we got a golf outing Friday morning, so I likely will not be on the show with you guys at
the bet show
on Friday.
Yeah, we'll be on the
on the bet show.
Yeah, we'll be on the
bet show, which is a great show.
Yeah,
and I think stats really carries the meat of that, anyways, from the football betting perspective. So it's nice to get him on a golf show. I mean, last time he was here, we hit the pick six. So we'll try and run that back for you guys, and give you some insight into what's a much better ProCore championship than it normally is, with all the Ryder Cup guys playing. I think it's kind of funny. I wish DraftKings had featured the DP World Tour, like the BMW there too, like a little bit better, like prize pools, just because like basically the entire European Ryder Cup team is playing there and our entire team is playing here.
Except Bryson.
Yeah.
Except Bryson, who's not allowed. Yes, he's not allowed to play in this. But this is a much stronger field than they're used to getting out here. And we're going to be out in Napa. Yep. Weather looks good, so we don't have too much to worry about as far as wind in the AM PM splits. Short course, from what I'm seeing, 7,100 plus yards, which is rather short for a PGA event. I was looking over on Data Golf, and you would think, short course driving accuracy, there's a lot of trees, tree line fairways, narrow fairways. You would think driving accuracy would be kind of a higher rated stat for this course, but it's really not. It's actually one of the few stats. If you look at the average stats that we look at in for all PGA events, it's one of the few that actually driving accuracy is not as important from what Data Golf is giving us. So, I would imagine, look, the Bombers always have an advantage on every golf course that they play. So you would think, I guess, there's going to be a lot of holes here where maybe driver is not in play. I don't know. I haven't watched enough tournaments at this event. I'll be watching this one because we've got some good golfers in it. So, but yeah, just by going on those stats, driving accuracy, not as much, but I think the approach to the green, shots approaching the green will be really important here this week. So before we dive into the golfers, give me an idea of what are you guys looking at as far as lineup construction? Are we stars and scrubs? We've got Scotty at over 14,000, which I think they finally priced him, and you guys will tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. I think they finally priced him at a point where I don't want to say he's not playable, but he's not an automatic lock button choice this week either. So give me an idea, Mitch, on kind of lineup construction. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, this week I'm looking more balanced. This is the first time I haven't really seen Scotty. He doesn't even rank that well in like models when you figure in the price and everything with the field. He's not really popping in the models as much as he normally was, but he's like 2-1 to win this event. So you're definitely going to need 3 like low tier values. You're going to need him to bring on those guys along to make him optimal, because there's plenty of paths where he wins this event and still isn't optimal, depending on the roster construction you're forced to go to with him. I think it leaves like close to like 7K once you click him in there, versus if you click on like 2 of the 9K guys like Henley and Cantley, you still have like 7,600 left. So that kind of puts you in a better spot. So I kind of like going more mid-tier, even build there. You were talking before about the course setup. It is interesting how accuracy isn't as predominant here, because this course actually has the narrowest fairways on tour, like right around 24 yards wide, which is quite narrow. They've added some bunkers as well to kind of try and give it a little bit of a Augusta type feel here, but I think with a lot of dog legs and the tree line fairways, I think you still will see some guys kind of club down a little bit, but I still weigh accuracy a little bit, just like play the guys like Russell Henley and some of those guys that are well known for hitting the fairways at an accurate clip, and mainly more even builds. So for me, it was hitting on a lot of the builds I ran early.
Yeah, Bryce, just kind of touch on what you're thinking here as far as the lineup construction. The other thing is this is it's one of those courses, one of those events where we see a lot of birdies. So I don't know if that necessarily changes how we're looking at things. Do we like some of the guys? Do we think that we could play some of these cheaper options because of that, or do we want to stick with maybe a mid type of lineup build as opposed to stars and scrubs?
I think you guys hit the nail on the head with Scotty. He's the number one discussion point here. I would flat fade Scotty. I think he would have to win by a large margin to be optimal here. You would need cheap guys to be at the top too, and it's a very top heavy field. Like once you get past like the 40 to ones of the world, like the field really kind of falls off a cliff here, just because you get the whole Ryder Cup team in there above. So I think that DraftKings finally priced him well. I've been on Scotty this whole time, and I know we've had this discussion with Mark a bunch. Normally he's off and I'm on, or he's somewhere in the middle and I'm like shove. I think this week I would bet that even if he does win, he's not optimal. So he is pretty much a fade for me. If you want to play him, I could see playing like 10 to 15% in the big tournament, like the big $25 GPP. I think, I think he's probably going to come in around there, maybe 15 to 20%. I'm kind of hoping that people just shove him regardless. But yeah, I think the pricing and field dynamics this week lead to no Scotty for me. And I would personally, I'm only playing one team. If I was playing 150, I would flat fade him.
I like what they did. I agree with you. I like that price on him. I mean, look, the guy is by far, I mean, he's slightly better than 2 to 1 to win this tournament. I mean, if you look at Pinnacle, Russell Henley's the next best here at plus 1,600. So I like it. I mean, look, if you're gonna take him, then and he's gonna run away with the tournament, you're gonna need some other guys to do well, like you said, and it's gonna be in that 7K range if you do take a Scotty. Now there are options down there. We're gonna get to those guys. I do think there are a few guys we could play. I'll see what you guys think down at that level. I agree with you. I don't think there's enough of those guys down there. Plus the added factor of some of these guys in the top 10 we do expect to play well, and Scotty's going to have to beat them by a whole lot in order to be in the optimal. So I agree. I'd be surprised this week if Scotty finds his way into the optimal. I can tell you that JBC does not have him in his optimal this week that he shared with me earlier. So let's dive into it. I mean, we talked about Scotty. We got into that as we typically do fairly deeply. 14.4 is the price tag on him. You got to drop all the way down to the second golfer here on the salary list, which is JT Justin Thomas at 10.2. Let's just talk about the guys here. Let's just go from 9,500 up. You got Cantlay, Burns, Henley, and Justin Thomas. Looking at the betting market, the top 5 guys are all the top 5 guys in salary are all the top 5 guys in the betting markets. They may not necessarily be in the exact order that they are, but they are the top 5. Are there any of these guys that we don't like from Thomas, Henley, Burns, Cantlay, anyone that you think is absolutely a must play here?
I think that Henley's the best play of the group here. And I would probably say Sam Burns is the worst, but this whole range, and I'll even extend it like further down, like basically the entire US Ryder Cup team is all priced around the same price. And, they're all going to be pretty solid plays here. I don't think there's a lot that separates these guys. So my strategy is kind of to fade like the most expensive ones and go a little more mid-tier. So I'm taking the least amount of cheap guys possible. Like in most bills, I like to take one like cheap guy. So I'm not going like multiple ones. So I would rank it Henley, Cantlay, JT Burns for me at 9,500 up. But, if I was playing 150 this week, I think they would all be, 15% plus for me just because I was fading Scotty.
Yeah, I see what you're saying because I'm looking at it as well, and I think the sub 7K level that we were talking about, the kind of that magic level, if you're going to take Scotty, I think it's kind of weak. So I think we're looking at mostly golfers above the 7K. I'm sure we'll find a couple of guys sub 7K that we may like here, but if that's your strategy and that's the way you view this field, like Bryce does, I could see where getting a lot of these guys up around that 10K mark is going to be difficult. So. Mitch, do you agree there? Do you like anyone? Are you playing this any differently? You like any of these guys, this top five, excluding Scotty?
Yeah, I'm right there with Bryce. I think Henley is clearly the best play up here. I think slightly better than Cantlay. Henley's just been on basically his best year of his career, I think, this year. I mean, he's had so many big finishes in big time events, most notably in the Tour Championship where he finished runner-up in that event. Had a really good playoff run there. Had a T2 with the Travelers too back a couple of months ago as well. I mean, he's just hitting the fairways at the highest clip, I think, in the field, right at around 73%. He doesn't hit it that far off the tee, but that's not going to matter. Hasn't mattered on any course basically this year just because he's been so good tee to green this whole year. So really high on him. He's gaining just over a strokes gained total per round over the last 36 rounds as well. So Henley is my top guy. And then I think Cantlay may come in around 15 to 20%, maybe somewhere around there. I think maybe 15 to 17, somewhere around there. Cantlay is my next favorite guy. I haven't played Cantlay that much this year. I started to get on him in the playoffs because he usually kind of shows out in the playoffs there as he's kind of fine-tuning for the Ryder Cup. And then at East Lake, where he always plays well, he finished T2 there with Henley as well. I always love playing Cantlay on the West Coast there in California tracks. And then I think we're going to get a decent buy on him with the ownership. I think he's going to be under Henley, potentially under Burns and Griffin as well. So I think we could get him kind of mixed and matched with. I think all three of those guys will be relatively close, around 15 to 20% or something like that. But I like Cantlay, the second favorite. I'm probably off of Burns at 9,700. I don't think he's got as much win equity as Russell Henley and Patrick Cantlay do right now. And then JT, I'm just kind of I'm only going to play 3 lineups this week, so I probably won't get to JT. But if I was going to play 150 or something, a lot of those, he would probably fit in there somewhere around like 12 to 15% for me. But I don't really like playing JT when he's priced up that high because we've seen a lot of just mid performances from him this year. He'll get close and then he always kind of peters away towards the end. But it's Henley 1 and Cantlay 2 for me up here.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned West Coast liking Cantlay. Do you take any consideration into the fact that these are Poana greens, which some people just absolutely hate? If you've ever putted on them, they tend to get a little bumpy, they can drive you crazy. So I do think it is worth maybe looking at some guys who've had success. You find that more on the West Coast courses and see just guys who've had success and putted well there because it can get into some of these players' heads, the Poana greens. All right, let's dip down to the next level here. We'll go 8,500 and up to 9,400. So that 9,400, Ben Griffin, and like right off the bat, I'm looking at Ben Griffin in the betting markets. Looks like the betting markets compared to where his price is are just not matching. He's the 11th golfer on the Pinnacle market, but sitting here as the 6th highest salaried golfer. So curious to see what you guys think there. You've got Cam Young, Spawn, Morikawa, and Morikawa. Interesting. I think I'll speak for JBC here because I did see his lineup that he likes today, and Morikawa was at the top. I think that was the most expensive golfer. I'll have to go back and look that he is taking in his lineup this week. McNeely, English, Thompson, and Bhatia, Homa, and Koiven, who I'm not all that familiar with, Jackson Koiven. So maybe you guys can help me. Yeah, I would assume so if he's priced up there. And where is he coming? Is he coming from one of the lower tours, or is he coming straight out of school?
Jackson Koyman is like the best like amateur golfer. He plays at Auburn.
Okay. Is he still in school? So he's just playing here as an amateur.
Yeah, he just led his team to the Walker Cup last week. Beat I believe it was Ireland and Great Britain or something like that in the Walker Cup last weekend. So he's coming in off of that, and he's got a couple other top 6 finishes. He's went T5, T6, and T11 in his last 3 events on the tour there. Right before the playoff started there, the Wyndham, the ISCO, and then the John Deere Classic. He kind of beat up on those weaker type fields. He's definitely my favorite in this range from when you're talking 9.4 to 8.5. He's definitely stands out above me. I also bet him to win at 50-1, so pretty high on Jackson Koyvan in this setup. I think you can play like a Henley, Cantlay, Koyvan team rather easily, and I think you got a ton of upside in that build. So that's the way I'm looking like in my main teams there. Some other guys that I'll be looking at right here is Akshay Bahia. He's kind of steaming in. He's got some really good odds in the markets there. He's kind of been steaming up in the models as well. Really good recent form for him as well, aside from that miscut that he had at the Wyndham Championship. He was T6 at the first playoff event, and then he was T13 at the Tour Championship. So Akshay's got some good form riding into here. It's only played at this event once in the last couple of years. Missed the cut a couple years ago, but back in 2021, he had a top 10 finish at this event. So he's got a little bit of a course history here. So Akshay is a solid play. Davis Thompson is always just kind of an upside guy. He's played this event a couple times, had 1 top 10 in 2022 at this event. And then Harris English is a guy that just always rates out well for me, like models well. He's been playing really good golf over the last couple of months as well. Had that runner-up back at the Open Championship. He was T4 at the Travelers. A couple good events at the playoffs there. He was T12 and T13 in the final 2 playoff events. So Harris has some good form he's rolled into here. So Harris would be another guy I'd be higher on in these mid-tier like builds. And then Maverick McNeely got snubbed from the Ryder Cup. He probably has a little chip on his shoulder coming into here. Has played this event a couple of times. Hasn't had much success here as he's missed a cut in his both trips here, but he's playing a lot better this year. He's a guy you can look at there. And then Morikawa, my guy Morikawa is great tee to green. The short game has just been absolutely atrocious for him. He's losing now 0.6 strokes per round, last 36 rounds with the flat stick there. He's been in position a couple of times, but he's always petered out over the weekend there. Finished T19 at the Tour Championship, T33, T22 in those last 2 before in the playoffs there. And then he had a couple of missed cuts overseas. But yeah, Morikawa definitely has the upside. The price tag is fair for him, depending on where his recent form and his current stats leading in. I think he's a really good upside play. If he can finally put 4 rounds together, he could definitely be there. He'll be looking to kind of build his repertoire going into the Ryder Cup as well. Cameron Young was a guy I just played a ton of. I was full shoving Cameron Young down the stretch there. Finally got that win at the Wyndham, and then had a really strong playoffs there. 2 top 5s in the playoffs with a T11 as his worst finish in those 3 events. So Cameron Young is a guy that I'm going to try and play 2 of Henley, Cantlay, and Cameron Young on all of my teams, I think, this week. So that's kind of where I'm leading up top, and then try and mix in like a Harris English and a Jackson Koyvan as my favorite other 2 guys in this range as one-offs.
One guy you didn't mention, I don't believe, is Max Homa. He's 2-time defending champion. What do you think? Or not defending champion, but he is a 2-time past champion.
I just haven't played him at all this year, and it hasn't burned me yet. But he did win this event back in 2022 and 2021. Or no, they actually played this event twice, I think, that year in 2022 with must have been I don't know if that was the COVID year or whatnot, or because it looks like they played this event in 2022 and then September in 2022 again. He won both of those. It was T7 in 2023. I'll have to look more into that, but He missed the cut in the final event before the playoffs. Was kind of up and down. Did have that top 5 at the John Deere. He's definitely a guy with upside, but I don't think I'm playing enough teams this week to include him.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a guy. Look, I think there's some guys in this group. We were talking about the Poana Greens. Obviously, Homa has proved that he could play well on him. Morikawa, I think, is another guy in this group that has had some success on the PO. He comes from that part of the country.
California
so,
kid.
Yeah, California kid who's definitely used to playing on these type of greens. Bryce, talk to me, 8,500 up to that 9,400 mark. Who are we playing? I would assume this is the group here that you're going to start to get some interest in.
Yeah, this is the range I really want to live in this week. I think, like, for the price, these guys are the best plays on the board. I think Ben Griffin will go under-owned. I like him a decent amount. Cam Young, I like a ton. JJ Spawn, I think, is a solid play. Morikawa, I'm very high on. Mav, another California guy here. Ryder Cup, I don't necessarily think he was snubbed. I don't think his record deserved to make it, but he probably was in his head. Harris English, I want to buy on as well. I just kind of like all of these guys. In this part of the range, I would rank it Cameron Young, Morikawa, Spawn, English, then Mav, personally. I think Davis Thompson here is not a great play. I don't really want anything to do with him. Akshay, I like a lot. I think, he can make a lot of birdies out here. And, yeah, I like Koivu. I would have no Max Homa in 150. He's simply not the caliber. I mean, he should be priced like what, mid sevens. I just think he's insanely overpriced here. And Valimaki is as well. So I would just kind of flat fade the Thompson home of Valimaki and load up on the rest of the range that we like. I like Akshay a good amount. Koivun's more of like a 150 type of play for me. I'm just playing one main team, so I do understand his upside. I can't bring myself to play him over Akshay. So, yeah, it is what it is. But I don't mind that bet, Snyder. The guy's a really good player and has upside. I just think it's kind of a tough field for him to do it in.
Akshay, I think probably had the most steam that I saw earlier in the day in the betting markets. Has really moved up quite a bit. So someone out there is liking them some.
Mateo certainly. I don't know if you guys can hear him barking in the background, but he's certainly aboard the Akshay train. I think he was my bet this week on our Run Pure Sports core page. So. I'll be playing Akshay. He's certainly one of my favorites, and Mateo definitely agrees.
Yeah. We're getting we always like a bet, especially over on X when Mateo gets in there and mixes it up on X and throws some bets in. So always a good follow. We all love Mateo. So all right, let's get down to a level. Let's go up from 7,500 on up, which will start at Valimaki and then get down to Meisner and Grillo at that 7,500 level. Seeing some guys, there's a mix here. When I start looking, I always like to look at the betting markets. I mean, there are some guys who are pretty much priced right where they're in the betting markets, priced kind of right where their salary is. And then you got some guys that seem way off the mark. Guys like Kuchar and Gary Woodland are way their odds are just way higher than where their prices are. I mean, you could throw Victor Perez in there and Meisner as well. And then there's some guys who look to be priced a little cheap, especially when you look at the betting market, like a Bo Hostler. So, Bryce, I'm going to just kick it right back to you here. If we go from 7,500 level, there's 3 guys down there at 7,500, all the way up to the 8,400. It's got to be a bunch of guys in here that you like as well, considering the lineup construction that you're looking at this week.
Yeah, I would say my favorites of the bunch are Grazerman and Bo Hostler. I think Max is a pretty solid play here, and Bo is underpriced in my opinion. Other guys that I kind of like here, I think Thorbjorn Olsen is a pretty solid play. I don't mind Rico Hoey and Emiliano Grillo would probably be like the other guys that I'm really trying to target. I think the worst plays in this range are pretty much the guys you mentioned. Kuchar, Woodland are definitely not for me this week. I don't mind Patrick Fishburne, and I guess Mateo likes him as well. I'm trying to keep it a little bit tighter in this range, just because I think it just gets kind of spread after the previous range that we had talked about in terms of betting odds. I could see any of these guys, most of these guys that I had mentioned making a run here. So favorites would be Grazerman, Hostler, Grillo, and Hoey.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love Hostler down at this level. I do like Grazerman as well. So I think we're in a lot of agreement. Yeah, just looking at the markets, it's pretty tough to get on a Kuchar or a Gary Woodland over here. Curious if you are in agreement, Mitch. You like anyone here that maybe Bryce did not like? Who are you playing? Who do you absolutely have to play if there is anyone here? And who can we just totally throw out?
I think Hostler is probably the best play in this range. I think he's got really good odds over there on Pinnacle as well. He's been top 30 in 4 of his last 5 trips here, so he's got really good course history here. I think he's probably the best play in this range. I do like some Rico Hoey as well. He's hitting 70% of his fairways and 74% of his greens regulation last 36. He's a guy that can pop in these type of events, so I like him. I don't think I'm going to get to Woodland or Kuchar either. I don't think I'm really going to get Keith Mitchell either. I do like playing Hubbard in these type of events. Outside of the Ryder Cup team, this is kind of more of a watered-down event. He usually plays really well in these type of events, and has been T21 or better in 3 of his last 4 trips to this event. So I like Hubbard at 7,900. Always the sprinkle in there if I'm playing enough teams. Michael Thorbjornsen, I think he is a pretty strong play. 8K for his upside. I think he's a guy that could definitely go on one of those runs. We saw some upside that he had earlier in this year. So I think Thor is another guy that he can, he top 4 at the Rock. He had T21 at the John Deere Classic, T14 at the ISCO. I think this is another one of those spots where he could pretty easily top 20 this event. So I like him quite a bit. And then one other guy is Gracerman. I just like the upside that Gracerman has. Didn't in the season that really good on that good of a form, but he showed some upside at parts this year. So he's a guy I think you could sprinkle in there at 8,300. And then a little lower, I think Hostler and Hoey are my favorites right there, like I said. But then right at 7,500, I think Emiliano Grillo's got some upside. And then Mac Messier was second at the Wyndham and T14 at the 3M in his last 2 events on tour before the playoffs started. So I think both of those guys have some good upside for that mid 7K price range there.
See, DraftKings just did us dirty by putting Thorbjorn Olesen right next to Michael Thorbjornsen. And it's the Olsen is the one that we like the better of the 2 here, correct? Just so everyone gets it squared away.
I think Michael Thorbjornsen.
Oh no, I'm sorry. See, now I got
upside.
it. See,
Yeah.
I confused it. Thorbjorn, yes, Michael is the one that we like better, and Thorbjorn Olsen is second. So I believe that's the way Bryce had it as well. He liked Michael.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of like both the Olsens, though.
Yeah, they're both solid.
Okay. I don't want anyone getting confused there.
Yeah, we have no Olsen hate on this show. It's
All right.
Olsen hate pre-zone.
The only thing hateful is trying to pronounce the names for me.
Yes.
It's never fun. For whatever reason, I don't know what happens when you get older. Like, you just can't pronounce names. I've said this on other shows. I'm like, it used to drive me crazy when my dad would just pronounce every baseball player's name wrong. I'm like, we're watching the game. They just announced it. They just said his name on the TV, and now I'm that guy. So, So I guess we could just make fun of it because I'll never get any better. I'm only getting older. But let's dip it down here to, we're not going to do every golfer, of course, but this is going to be a key range, especially for those playing Scotty. And even if you're not playing Scotty and you're playing any one of those guys that we talked about, that top 5 group there, we're going to need some of these players down in this cheaper range. Let's look at the 7K and up. So there's quite a few golfers in that group. I mean, some guys who are standing out to me, you've got Joel Dahmen down here. You've got Echevarria, Sahith Theegala, right? So you've got a bunch of those guys who I think are going to get a lot of attention. Even Taylor Moore down here, maybe. Did I touch on any of the names that you guys are interested in? Which ones do you like?
Oh, yeah.
And you don't have to give me who you absolutely don't have to play, because we got a pretty wide range of golfers here. But really, the most important thing is what guys in this 7K up to that 7,500 level do you really want to get in there? And I'll go. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll go to you, Bryce. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're good. There's 2 guys I really like in this range. This is kind of where it starts to fall off a bit, and I'm not trying to play tons of these guys, but you do have to, even if you're not playing Scotty. Nico Echevarria, I think, is way too cheap. I think he's the best player in this range by a good amount. And then I like Doug Ghim as well. I ended up getting a decent amount of him in my runs. I think Benny Ann is a pretty solid play. What's his price? Yeah, 7,300. Had him on my list as well. The rest of these guys are all just kind of, mix and match. I know Wiley likes Cam Champ a lot. I can kind of get on board with that. Don't mind Clanton. Taylor Moore's pretty solid as well, I think. The guys I'm not really getting a ton of are like the super cheap ones, like the low 7Ks. I'm not really getting much of. Like, my runs would pretty much go to like the mid to high range guys here, like Ghim, Nico, etc., and kind of passes on the low 7s, and would just like take a punt over the low 7s, because there's not tons of difference between, like, say, someone like Noah Goodwin or Garrick Higo, or like a Taylor Montgomery, or someone like even like way cheaper down here. So yeah, Nico's kind of my guy down here this week.
Cam Champ is also a former winner here, right? Back in, I believe, 2019. So yeah, so we've got a few guys. We've got some past winners in this field for sure, and probably not necessarily the profile that you would expect. Like I said, not a long course, so not necessarily a course that you would expect for a guy like Cam Champ, but did well that week. The power fade was working. Mitch, talk us down at this lower level. This is going to be an important level, because I think that's where you're going to win it or lose it down here, probably in this range. Who do we have to play down here to get us home?
Yeah, I think there's some guys down here you can definitely go to. Starting at the top at the 7-4s, I think Putnam is a fine option there. He's going to hit a ton of fairways. He ranks number 1 in accuracy off the tee last 36 rounds in this field. He's hitting the greens at a high clip as well, 71%. Really good short game for him as well. So I think he's a guy that should be able to navigate these around the green surfaces where you're going to see some tightly mown runoff areas. So I think he should be able to get up and down rather easily here. I think he's a good option there. I don't know if I'll get the Cameron Champ. I know he ended the season pretty strong, but doesn't have, outside of that win where I think he just absolutely sun ran that event, has missed his last 3 cuts, missed his last 4 cuts at this event. So I'll probably be off of him. I think he's going to catch some ownership too. I've heard his name brought up on a few things I've listened to and some content I've taken in. So probably be off of Cam Champ. I like the upside of Luke Clanton, but the form isn't there for him, so I'll probably be off of him there. When you look at recent form guys, it's hard to look past Sahith Theegala, who's got a win and 2 other top 10s at this event in his last 3 trips here. But then you look at his form. His form is absolutely atrocious. I don't know if I've seen a guy losing strokes across the board in his last 36 rounds. But Sahith is losing strokes in every metric last 36 rounds, and he's missed his last 4 cuts with a withdrawal before that as well. So probably off Sahith. I think Doug Gim's got some good upside at this event. Nico Echeverria is fine. Ricky Castillo is fine. My favorite play is probably Joel Dahlman. I think he's got some really good form rolling in. T15, T30, T17 his last 3 events leading in. Hasn't fared that best at this event, but I kind of like him here. He would be a soldier, as well as Kevin Roy at 7,200. He ended the season pretty solid. He's gaining strokes across the board last 36. Hits a lot of greens in regulation, really good off the tee as well. So Kevin Roy would be a guy I would sprinkle in. Max McGreevy's got some upside we've seen. Sam Ryder had a couple top 15s in his last 3 events and has a top 15 at this event back in 23. So I think he's a guy you could look at. Vince Whaley, I know Mark hates Vince Whaley. He's going to make the cut and probably finish 55th or something like he usually does. But if you're looking for a cut maker, Vince Whaley will probably make the cut and finish like T74 like he did at the Wyndham Championship, or T57 like he did at the 3M. But he's fine. Noah Goodman, I think there's some really good upside in Noah Goodman, who ended the season pretty strong. He had a little rough patch there. Then he went T10, T23 in his last 2 events prior to the playoffs beginning. Hayden Springer's got some good recent form heading in. I think he's fine. Thomas Rosenmuller is a guy you can sprinkle in. He's got 3 top 30s in his last 4 events. Hits a lot of fairways off the tee, hits a lot of greens, 74% greens and regulations for him last 36. And then a guy, Taylor Montgomery. He's not the best ball striker, but the dude can really roll the rock. He's gaining 1.5 strokes putting last 36 rounds. So if he can get that putter going and just kind of hit the ball decent, like almost hit to a 0 off the tee ball striking and approach, I think he's the guy that could make some noise here. He finished 3rd at this event back in 2022, so he's got some upside I like. And that's it for me here in this 7K range. So I think there's some guys you can sprinkle in if you're playing 150, 5 to 10%, sprinkle some of these guys in there. But no one I have like a huge conviction on. I think Dahlman might make my main team, though, as I look through this.
I believe Dahlman's going to be on JBC's team as well, so I think he likes him with you. I'm glad you brought up Taylor Montgomery, because I was going to ask you about him, and then you squeezed him in there right at the end. He's been in the betting markets. I mean, really been getting bet up, and I don't know a ton about him, so I appreciate you kind of tapping into that one. I think he's probably, just looking at how the betting markets are playing him, he's probably worth a look down here at the 7K, and it sounds like you agree. Not a lot of golfers I don't think that you guys are going to like here sub 7K, but I'm sure there's a couple. I'm guessing David Lipsky down here at the 6,900. What do we think about Lipsky? He looks to be jumping off the page at me, at least at this sub 7K level. Anyone else, Mitch, that you like sub 7K?
I think like on the playbook or whatever, I only had one guy ranked in this range, and it was David Lipsky. I think he's by far the best play in this 6K range. Really good recent form. He finished 2nd at this event last year, was T30 the year before, had that T3 at the 3M, had a T3 at the John Deere Classic. So he's got some really good upside for 6'9". If he could even top 20 at this event at 6,900, I think that would definitely pay off his tag. And I might even lock Lipsky on all 3 of my teams this week, and just kind of mix up the guys above him to that should help me mix and match some of those mid-tier to low 9Ks, 8K guys that I like. So I'll probably lock Lipsky, and that'll be the only guy I play down here. But I think a couple others that I would look at would be Lanto Griffin. Usually plays well out on the West Coast, and had a couple of good finishes there down the stretch as he ended his season. David Skins had some upside there. He had a couple top 10s in July. He's got some upside. And then I don't really like any of these guys. I don't think there's a need to force too much down here. Lipsky's definitely my favorite guy. Justin Lauer, however you say his name, has some good event history here. T7, T45, and a T4 in his last 3 trips here. And then Adam Svensson has went T13 and T12 in his last 2 trips here. Svensson didn't play the best down the stretch. Popped a little bit the 3M. He had a T14 sandwiched in between 3 missed cuts. So I think Svensson's got some upside.
All right, so there's a few guys here worth playing. Lipsky, obviously, you seem pretty high on. Bryce, Lipsky, you're in agreement. Any other guys down here that you like sub 7K that we could play?
Yeah, I like Lipsky. I would kind of consider him like one of the best plays in the low 7 range. Like I would take him over everyone up to probably Damon. So yeah, I really don't love this range in general, though. I'm trying to stay away from it as much as possible. But I will go over some guys that I think are playable. And I like wouldn't like hate your team if you played them. Svensson, Martin Laird, Chan Kim, Joe Highsmith, Brian Campbell, and who else do I have down here that I didn't hate? Danny Walker. And I think the absolute lowest you could go, I would not go any lower than Troy Merritt at 6.2K.
All right, so we've got some options. I mean, you need to have a few of these guys because if someone wants to play, especially for those out there watching who do want to play Scotty, we'll see. There's going to be some out there. You're going to have to use some of those guys down at the bottom here and hope they could come through. All right, we're going to do a pick 6. Before we do that, I just want to remind everybody, if you could just hit subscribe and like these videos, it really helps us out. So if you are appreciating the shows that these guys put out here for you each and every week for the golf DFS and hopefully winning a pick 6 again, just give us that like and subscribe. We appreciate it. All right. Quick, before we jump into the pick 6, give me one golfer you guys want to bet here that you like their price as far as a win. You can give me a couple if you like, but anyone we like their price to win in for this one this week?
Yeah, I like Akshay.
Seems like that's the guy I took this morning as well. So,
okay, good.
I bet Kennedy at 18-1 and Jackson Quavon at 50-1, and I'm going to add some Akshay as well.
There we go. I like that. I like that Quavon bet. I think he has some upside. If you guys are worried about Scotty, you can always take some longer shots in the without Scotty markets that they offer. So, yeah, kind of a easy way to fade him. A little bit easier in DFS.
I kind of like playing the market with him in there. I'll take the long price.
Well, I'm saying on these guys are all long prices. Like I wouldn't take Akshay without him, but I'm saying right. You're taking like a 300-1 shot.
Yes. Yeah. No. I get you.
Montgomery or something.
Yeah. So
I got you. All right, let's take a look. DK pick 6 this week. Looks like it's only round 1 for the PROCORE championship that we're getting options on here. So we'll see if we could do this again. See if we could hit 6 out of 6. I'll jump. Do one of you guys have one that you really like? Mitch, do you have one ready to go?
I like Scotty more than 67.5 strokes. He's never played this event. He's been 67 or higher in 3 of his last 5 first rounds too. So I like Scotty over 67.5.
All right. That is going to be contrarian, which could help us here. If we hit the pick 6, maybe we'll get a nicer payout on that one for sure. Not a lot of people want to take the over 67.5 strokes. Bryce, do you have anything here that you're looking at for a pick 6?
I'll take Kuchar over 70.5 strokes. Don't think we like him here at all.
Kuchar to the over. He's in the AM. There we go. I found him. All right. So we've got a couple of overs. Kuchar. We've got Scotty Scheffler. I'm going to look to birdies or better. And let me see. I'm going to well, look, we're betting Akshay, right? Let's take him 4.5 birdies or better here. So we'll go over.
I love that.
Batia on the. I like the birdies. just in case, kind of get rid of the blow up. If he does have a blow up hole, he should be able to get us 5 birdies. I like that one. Mitch, what do we like here? One more.
Let me see. You got one that you like really good, Bryce, or?
Yeah, I'll go Nico Echeverria, 3.5 birdies or better.
Yeah, I was just looking at the birdies. Nico, let's go. Hostler over 3.5 birdies.
Hostler over 3.5 birdies. All right, sticking with the guys we like. I was looking for some Justin Thomas strokes, but do we not have an option here for JT?
JT, only pick I see is birdies are better, and there's no under on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that one anyway.
F.8, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that one. All right, let's see. Let me do a quick. Let's go with. You want to go with Lipsky under the 70.5?
Sure.
Yeah, I like that.
70.5. He's going to shoot better than that. We need a 70 from Lipsky here. So, all right, what's our 6? I just missed your last 2. You got it written down there? I missed the last 2 from you guys while I was looking.
We
go
got Scotty over 67.5 strokes. Kuchar over 70.5 strokes. Akshay better than 4.5 birdies. Bo Hostler better than 33.5 birdies. Nico Echeverria better than 3.5 birdies. And then David Lipsky lower than 70.5 strokes.
That's it.
So I kind of like this one because we have some of the 0.7s in there, which lowers the payout a bit, like the guaranteed payout. But everyone's going to take Scotty under strokes, so that will up the payout in the pick 6, like bonus pool that they pay out.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. All right. So, any final parting words here, Mr. Snyder?
No, I don't think so. We got a great weekend ahead. Bryce has got a big weekend ahead as well. And my guy, Terrence Crawford from Nebraska, is boxing Canelo this week. So hopefully Crawford can get it done, and big football slate ahead as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I had no idea Crawford Canelo was this weekend.
Yeah.
I did not realize there's so much going on. Yeah, listen, it's busy at Run Pure, that is for sure. We had a Millie winner last week, which was nice. Those are always nice to have in week 1. So definitely
$5 900,000 people winner is pretty incredible.
It was pretty insane considering he had I think in total he had about a $750 investment on the day. It's not a terrible ROI, and basically he took one shot at the almost 900,000 entry Millie lottery and was able to hit it. The crazy thing is when you look at the lineup, and this happens all the time, you look at it and you go, that wasn't all that inconceivable to come up with that lineup. Like it was, no players on there that I really did not like. And of course we got the Boom Report now for the NFL. I've been posting that one, and it's been well received in MLB. And I think opening weekend, a lot of good feedback I'm getting on that. So be on the lookout for that. Check out Run Pure Sports and become a member subscriber if you are not already. All right, Bryce, any last words? Good. I know you got the wedding this week. What course are you playing? Is it a course that we would know?
No, it's just our home course. Like I think up to 18 people playing it. I think we have 7 members. So.
Awesome. Well, that's going to be I'm sure it'll be a lot of debauchery and there, and we'll fill in for you the best we can on the bet show on Friday and see if we can pick some winners there. All right. Well, for Snyder, for Third Schlong, I am Statsational. We are out of here. Good luck, everybody.